When we think of Monopoly, we often think of endless evenings, family disputes over an unfair bank, or the American dream sold in a game box. But what few people know is that this world-famous game hides another story. A story of injustice, of erasure, and of one brilliant woman, Elizabeth Magie. Today, we delve into the journey of a forgotten pioneer who designed a game to denounce the injustices of capitalism, and whose work was erased, hijacked, then sold to the world under another. Elizabeth Magie was born in 1866 in Macomb, Illinois. Her father, James Magie, was a journalist and fervent abolitionist. He even had links with Abraham Lincoln. But more than that, he was a convinced anti-monopolist. It was he who gave his daughter a book that would change her life, Progress and Poverty, by Henry George. This 1879 text developed a revolutionary idea. Individuals should keep the fruits of their labor, but the land should belong to everyone. A daring idea, and the start of a game project that would turn the rules of capitalism on their head, literally. In the 1880s, Lizzie Magie, then a stenographer, began designing the Landlord's Game, a board game, but above all, an educational tool inspired by George's theories. The board was innovative, circular, with 44 squares representing the institutions of modern life. There is a poorhouse, a public park, a prison, and the now famous instruction, "Go to jail." But the originality didn't stop there. Lizzie devised two sets of rules. One was anti-monopolistic, with all players benefiting collectively from the wealth. The other, monopolistic, where the aim is to dominate and ruin others. It's not just a game, is a powerful critique of the system, and Magie hopes that by playing it, even children will understand the unfair mechanisms of the land economy. In 1903, Lizzie Magie filed a patent for her game. At that time, less than 1% of patents were held by women, an achievement in itself. In 1906, she published The Landlord's Game thanks to the Economic Game Company, a company she co-directed. The game was complete. Colorful board, cards, counters, banknotes. Everything was there, but despite its modernity, remained a marginal game, too subversive, too political perhaps, or simply too far ahead of its time. And then, the twist. In the 1930s, a man called Charles Darrow discovered a modified version of the Landlord's Game, shared between friends, notably in a Quaker community. He presented it to Parker Brothers under the name Monopoly. It was an instant success. Darrow became a millionaire, and Lizzie Magie, she sold her patent and two other game ideas for $500. No royalties, no public recognition. Parker Brothers, anxious to control everything, bought back her rights, but erased her name from history. The game, which denounced the land grab, became an icon of triumphant capitalism. Lizzie Magie's story is tragically ordinary, but deeply revealing. It's the story of a brilliant, inventive woman who was profoundly ahead of her time. And yet, like so many others, she was downplayed, relegated to the shadows, erased from official accounts. We are in 1912, in a society where it was still said without batting an eyelid that women don't use their brains as much as men, a time when female intelligence was not only underestimated, but often denied and silenced. Lizzie designed a game, but not just any game, a game to make people think, a game to educate, a game with a strong political message, a game that denounces the excesses of capitalism, the dangers of monopoly, and the injustice of a system based on exploitation. But this game, as all too often in history, was snatched from her. Her invention was stolen, the idea hijacked. her message completely betrayed. In its place, another story is told, that of a lone man, Charles Darrow, presented as the creative genius behind Monopoly, an ideal figure for the great American narrative, the self-made man, ingenious, visionary, but totally fictitious. And the cruelest thing about all this, it was precisely the system that Lizzie was trying to criticize. The monopoly, the hoarding of wealth by the few at the expense of the many, that ended up robbing her, too, of her own creation. It would be several decades before light was finally shed on Lizzie Magie. It was not until the 1970s that a professor of economics, digging through the archives, came across her forgotten patent. It was a precious document that called into question the whole official story that had been told until then. Slowly but surely, the truth began to emerge. A number of press articles focused on her career. Documentaries retraced the true origins of Monopoly. Exhibitions gave her back a visibility she had never had in her lifetime. And in her hometown of Macomb, Illinois, people decided to pay tribute to her in a tangible way. Every 9th May, the town now celebrates Lizzie Magie Day, a whole day dedicated to honoring her legacy, her intelligence, and her audacity. A giant monopoly has even been installed, in a clear nod to her initial invention. And today, some of the originals are preserved and exhibited as evidence of her forgotten contribution. Her name is finally being celebrated. It circulates. It inspires. But this recognition, important as it is not just about redressing a historical injustice. It carries a broader, more universal message. The message that it is essential to remember and to repeat that creativity, innovation, intuition have never belonged to a single genre, to a single social elite, or to a single way of seeing the world. Elizabeth Magie didn't invent Monopoly to turn us all into die-hard capitalists. She invented it to make us think, so that for the duration of a game, we could understand how inequalities are created and how they could be corrected. Her battle was not just economic, it was also profoundly feminist, educational, and visionary. So, the next time you pull out a Monopoly, remember, this game was originally a warning. Thank you for watching Beyond the Footnotes. If this story has touched you, please subscribe, like, and share. And above all, don't hesitate to comment on to tell me what Lizzie Magie's story inspires in you. In the next episode, we travel to the end of the 19th century. We discover the struggle of Jeanne Chauvin, a brilliant jurist, a forgotten pioneer, and the first woman to plead in France. A story of laws, resistance, and perseverance. Thank you so much for following the channel. I'm so pleased to see that these short documentaries dedicated to the great ladies who have shaped time also fascinate you. 1,000 sincere thanks, and see you soon on Beyond the Footnotes.